Earlier this week, an ER doctor from New York, Dr. Lorna Breen, passed away by suicide after she herself contracted the coronavirus and she couldn't handle seeing everything she saw in the New York hospitals. It was a very sad story when I saw the story, not only because of her own death, but also it tells us of how sad the story is of what's going on in the hospitals and how sad it is of how this war against the virus is, but also teaches us to look a little bit deeper of the first responders, how these doctors and nurses, the pressure that they are under, trying to go in the front lines, dressing up every single day from head to toe, covering their eyes, their faces, their mouths, their gloves, their gowns, everything, trying to protect themselves day in and day out so that they don't become affected by the coronavirus themselves. And yet, every single day they get up in the morning and they go knowing that they themselves might become affected, and yet they go and protect them and go and do everything they can just to be able to save another person's life. And it makes me think, why are these people doing this? This week we also had Yom HaZikaron, the day that we remember the fallen soldiers in Israel. And you think, why are these soldiers going and fighting, protecting the land of Israel? Doing this for the Jewish people, not just for the Israeli citizens, but for all the Jewish people around the world. Doing this, putting their lives on the line, why? Or for that matter, all first responders, why they do this? Why are they protecting everybody else? What is this about not only them, but us in general? When we see somebody is hurt, we drop everything and go to do something to help them out. Why do we do this? The Baal Shem Tov tells us that every time we see something, we have to take a lesson and learn something for this in our life. The Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement, teaches us we have to live with the times. So you open up this week's Torah portion, and you look inside, and it says, Lo tamod adam reyecha. You should not sit idle when the blood of your fellow is pouring forth. Meaning to say that if you see somebody else who's hurting, you have to do everything in your power to save them. What does that mean to say? That don't sit idle when somebody's hurting. But here's an interesting question. Why can't the Torah say something in a more positive sense? If help somebody out when they need help. Why is it in the negative? Don't sit idly when somebody else needs help, when it could have been in the more positive. This teaches an unbelievable lesson. The first rule of a first responder is protect yourself first before you help somebody else out. If you see somebody hurting across the road, first thing is check both sides of the road before you go and run across the street. The first thing a fireman does is put a mask on their face, put on their jackets and so on and so forth to know that they are protected before they jump into the fire themselves, because we know if they don't have oxygen, they can't help anybody else out. Same thing also with the doctors and nurses today. If they don't have a mask, if they don't have their gowns, and they don't have their gloves, and they don't have their face masks, they cannot not help out a COVID patient. Same thing also with every first responder, a soldier, the same thing. They have to have their gear and so on and so forth. This teaches us as follows. The Torah doesn't want to tell us, go help somebody else out, because if you are afraid of your own life, then the Torah says, I'm not going to tell you to do something because that's going to endanger you. But in the negative, the Torah says, don't stand idle when you think you could help, then you must go help. And that's why the Torah says it in such a way to tell us that we should do whatever we can when we know we can do something. And we should know that it's not just in the physical sense, but also in the spiritual sense as well. Today's day and age, a lot of people are standing not just physically concerned, but also spiritually concerned. A lot of people are home, quarantined, and we're starting to have quarantine fatigue, and we don't want to sit home anymore. It's getting to us. We're getting on our shpilkas, like they say. We're sitting on pins and needles. We want to get out already. We want to go back to life, back to the normal way of life, but we know it's not going to happen tomorrow. Like Dr. Fauci just said, going to shake somebody's hand is going to take a very long time. Life, like we knew it, is not going to happen tomorrow. But we want to go back to the way it was. What we know, it's not going to happen in just overnight. So what do? We have to all take that opportunity to not stand by idly and take every opportunity we have to inspire other people, to give other people courage, and lift them up, both not only physically, but also spiritually. So Shabbat Shalom, let this be a week that we say thank you to all those people who fought on our behalf and fight on our behalf, both in the land of Israel and over here in our hospitals and our old age homes and wherever they are helping people out. So Shabbat Shalom to you and L'chaim.